Hi, I'm Trisha at Club Scrap. This is the One Love Page Kit Workshop. If you picked up this collection within the first 30 days of its release, $20 of your purchase went to a wonderful organization called Strategic Response Partners. They have been on the ground in Jamaica ever since the hurricane came through, and they plan on remaining there for another 2 to 3 years. There are so many needs, and when we came together as a club, we were really able to meet some of those needs, and I think that's just incredible. I've got that One Love kit right here. I'm ready to get started. I'm going to get rid of all of the ribbon and goodies for now and just set those aside and isolate the paper. I've also printed my instructions. You can find the instructions on the Club Scrap website. On the homepage, there's a tab called Resources. Then you can find instructions, and this is under the Special Release Instructions category. And that's how all of our instructions are organized, either by monthly kit or special release, as is the case here. I'm also going to be using my wonderful Accordion Pocket File to stay organized, since we'll be trimming all of the paper in this pile all at once for all 8 pages. So there's 2 little hook and loop dots here. I'm going to line those up with the ones I've already added to the back of my trimmer, so that my trimmer holds up my little organizer here, and then I can just file all the pieces into one of these 4 pockets labeled 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8. Now, don't let the lack of this handy little thing keep you from doing this workshop. You'll need more space, but just keep 4 piles, 1 for each double page spread. So I'm going to take this paper, the entire stack of paper that came in the kit, and I'm going to just hold it upright so I can see it more easily and organize the sheets into the order we'll be using them. So the first piece I'm going to find is the horizontal stripe print. This one has the sun on the right side. I want you to take that and put it face down in the trimmer, and then grab the vertical stripe print, just one of those, and then place that face down on top of your trimmer. By the way, if you do need a trimmer, I really recommend this one, and there's a link to it in the description below. Then I'm going to take 2 sheets of the black paper, and next up, 2 sheets of red. 1, 2. This is a real heavy paper. 80-pound cover weight is typically our standard. Then we're going to take 1 sheet of the yellow and 1 of the green. Now the green does have a texture on one side and it's smooth on the other. So when I place this on my pile, I'm going to do texture side down, since we're going to flip the whole pile over later. Then on the back of your stack, typically, it might even be facing away from you, so that you're going to find 2 sheets of printed Cutaparts. Find the one that has the big palm tree on it with the green strips, and then put that face down, followed by the other one, like with the red background and the palm tree right there. Next, take the 2 remaining sheets of green from the stack and put those face down, followed by the 2 remaining sheets of yellow. Then 1 more horizontal stripe print, that's the one with the sunshine, face down. The remaining sheet of red. Then the last piece of black, followed by the final piece with it's a vertical stripe with the surfboard right on the left edge, face down. Now, take the whole stack and put everything back where we started with that first horizontal stripe print, and I'm going to stack everything neatly together and lay the paper to my left. If you did happen to print the instructions, I usually like to place those on my right. So take this sheet of paper here and place it in your trimmer so it's right side up. I'll start at 7 3/4. So if you're new to the trimmer, just remember the top row of numbers are centimeters, the second row are inches. So 7 3/4, I'm going to first find the whole number 7. Then I'm going to go left 1, 2, 3 of those columns that are conveniently printed every 1/4 inch on the trimmer base. Make sure the paper's level up here, push down on the clear bar, and you just chop off the sun. Okay, then lift the blade again and slide to 5 1/2. So again, I find the whole number 5. Then I go left 2 columns to grow that measurement to 5 1/2. And slice. All right, the piece that's here in the base of your trimmer is going to be placed into pocket 7 and 8. Be mindful that this is the same width as the organizer. So I'm just going to place it at an angle so I can still see the number in the upper left corner. I also advise you to, as we're trimming, just let the paper pile up to the right of the blade so that you don't lose track of it. If you move the piece every time you cut it, then I won't know where it is anymore. I'm just going to assume you haven't moved it. So pick up the piece on the top of the stack, and I'm going to place it in the trimmer so that the green and yellow area is on the left. I'll cut it 9 1/4, 6 1/2, and 3 3/4. This piece with the green and yellow, place that in pocket or pile 1 and 2, and the 3 remaining pieces 7 and 8. You also have one more larger strip to the right of the blade. Place that also in pocket 7 and 8. And we're going to grab the next sheet. Now let me just say right now, if I'm going way too fast and you're brand new to all of this, it's totally okay. There's a setting button in the lower right corner of your YouTube channel screen. And if you go to click the setting, you go to playback speed, choose like 0.75, that will really slow me down. But rest assured, the more practice you get with this method, the more efficient things will go and you'll be able to follow along at regular speed. All right, now this paper, we're not even going to trim it. We're actually going to tear it. So if you observe on this left side, do you see it has, I'm just going to call it the surfboard. So I'm just going to roughly tear out the surfboard in a certain way. So I'm going to start up here where the surfboard has its point, and I'm just going to tear toward me so that I'm revealing the white fiber beneath the printing of this image by tearing it this way. So this piece is coming toward me, this piece is staying. Okay, that wasn't so bad. Now I'm going to just kind of go along this left edge here as well, just again so I can have more. So I'm tearing away like the left edge of this. And just all down the line here. And I believe I'm tearing against the grain direction of this print. So it's definitely giving me a pretty jagged edge, which is the goal. I want to have a little bit of brightness from the white here. Okay. Then I'm going to take what's left over of this piece and I'm going to tear away this edge too by, with my right hand, I'm bringing that torn edge toward me. So I can reveal the white fiber, and then this piece I'm tearing away is going to be a scrap. And then I'm just going to tear like along the red here. So I'm just going to get rid of this part. So now I have a strip that has white on each edge and another strip that has the white on each edge. Both of these are going to be placed in pocket 5 and 6 at an angle, and then you can get rid of these other little pieces that you tore away. Next, take one sheet of the black. So make sure you can see one on your trimmer, you can see one to the left of your trimmer. And let's trim this at 10 1/4. 10 1/4. 8 1/2. And 4 1/4. The piece in the base of your trimmer and the piece that just fell are the same size. I'm going to stack them neatly together and cut them at 6. And you just made 4 pieces of the same size, and they're all going to go in pocket 7 and 8. It doesn't matter what order things are inside the pocket, just as long as they're in the right pocket. And both of these long narrow strips also 7 and 8. Grab the next sheet of black. We're going to cut at a very large number, 11 3/4. That's the last column before you get to the 12. Leave that piece of lay where it landed, and then cut at 8 and 4. Now, once again, pick up the piece that's in the trimmer and the one that just fell. They should be the same size. And we're going to cut them at the same time again, because the trimmer can, at 6 inches. If you're using one of those little slider trimmers, you probably will need to cut each strip individually. And 2 of the pieces that we made will go in pocket 5 and 6, and the other 2 in pocket 3 and 4. Now I have another strip here that's wider. We'll trim this at 11 1/4. 7 1/2, 3 3/4. Gather up all the squares and place them in pocket 1 and 2. There is a small scrap that fell from the end. I'll just set that aside. And then we have this long, narrow strip. Place that in pocket 7 and 8. All right, I'm moving on now to page 2 of my instructions. Pick up one sheet of the red. So you'll have one on your trimmer and you'll be able to see one to your left. Trim this one at 11 1/4. 10 1/2, and 6 1/4. Rotate the 6 1/4 by 12 so it's horizontal and cut at 8 1/2 and 4 1/4. There are two pieces you just made, one in the trimmer and the one that just fell. They should be the same size going into pocket 5 and 6. There's a smaller rectangle that fell to the right. We're going to cut this one at 6 and 3. We're going to do this quite a bit in this class. The two rectangles you made, pocket 5 and 6, and there's a tiny little piece that fell that is a scrap. I'll set that aside. The long strip that's kind of wide, we're going to trim horizontally at 6 1/4 and place this taller one and the one that's a little shorter, both of these in pocket 5 and 6. Now you have two strips left. One of them goes in 1 and 2, and the other in 5 and 6. The other sheet of red. Let's trim this one at 9 1/4 and 6 1/4. We're going to do a full repeat of what we just did on the previous sheet. Rotate this and trim at 8 1/2 and 4 1/4. Once again, that gives us two mats that are the same exact size going into pocket 1 and 2. The little rectangle will cut, once again, at 6 and 3, giving me two rectangles that are the same. These are going to go in pocket 3 and 4, and you created yet another little tiny scrap. The next piece, this strip is 3 by 12. We're going to cut at 8, 4, and now take the piece that's in the trimmer and just rotate it so it's vertical. Trim this at 2 3/4. This piece goes in pocket 5 and 6. And you created another little bitty scrap. And then you've got two more pieces that are the same. Those go in pocket 1 and 2. Now we have this final strip. We're going to trim this one at 9 3/4, 7 1/2, and 3 3/4. The piece in the trimmer, pocket 1 and 2. The next larger rectangle, 3 and 4. The small little rectangle, 5 and 6. And the other small rectangle, 1 and 2. Okay, yellow. This one's nice and easy. We're going to cut this one at 8 and 4. The two strips that are the same, just two of them, the three are the same, but we're only going to cut two. Trim them at 11 1/2, 11 1/2, and 5 3/4. All four of the pieces that we made that are the same size here, they all go in 7 and 8. And then you've got two narrow strips for your scraps. And then the final piece of 4 by 12, we're going to trim this one at 6. And gather these up and place them in pocket 1 and 2. Moving right along to one sheet of green, we'll cut at 10 3/4, 9 1/2, and 6 1/4. This is almost a review now. Rotate and trim at 8 1/2 and 4 1/4. Same thing we've done two other times. These two pieces that we made that are the same, pocket 3 and 4. The piece that fell, we're going to trim it horizontally at 6 and 3. We've made 2 rectangles for pocket 3 and 4 again, and a scrap. The wide remaining piece we'll trim at 11.5, 7 3/4, and 4. Even though these pieces aren't all the same size, one's a little taller, all 3 of the larger pieces go in pocket 3 and 4. And we do have a little scrap that fell from the end. Then we have 2 long, narrow strips. These are going to go in pocket 3 and 4, again at that angle. That's the end of the plain paper. For trimming the Cutaparts, before we separate each individual image, we need to do a perimeter trim. So if you look carefully, there are instructions here on every edge that says remove paper outside of corner cutting guides. Now, initially, the paper is a little large for my trimmer for me to be able to see the edge of this silver blade right here. So when I go to make my first cut, I'm just going to go near the little guide mark, close to it, but not all the way there. Then I'll rotate, and now this time I should be able to see the outside edge of the blade on my trimmer down here and up here right at the corner. So once I have that lined up, I basically want to just take out that mark as accurately as I can from each edge. Failure to get it nice and accurate will result in kind of like a butterfly effect where the cuts just won't look as even. And then I'm going to shave off that last little bit for my initial cut. I think I need to do just a little bit more. Okay, so now I have all these little scraps. I'm going to throw those away. And when I start trimming my Cutapart, I always want to follow the rule of put the narrowest strip on the right. So the bulk of the paper is always on the base of the trimmer. And our first cut will be at 10.5, and then 9. Nice and easy here. 6.5, and 3.5. Okay, every little thing is going to be all right. This one goes in pocket 3 and 4. The other wide strip, 1 and 2. And then we have this piece that needs to be trimmed further. So I'm going to make sure the yellow journaling prompt is on the right. I'll cut at 8.5 and 5. Vacation vibes, that'll be in pocket 1 and 2. The red journaling prompt 3 and 4. And the yellow one in pocket 7 and 8. Sunshine all day, reggae on repeat. That'll be pocket 7 and 8. And now we are at the final sheet of Cutaparts. And once again, I'll line up those edges kind of generously. And you may want your reading glasses. And if you need to trim 2 edges before you start really honing it in, that's totally fine. Just go back and clean up those edges so that they're as accurate as possible, and the final result is a 12 by 12 piece of paper. So now I should be able to look at my 12 on the left, and then once again my last little rotation here. Looking good. Get rid of your little scraps, your little edges. And I'm going to rotate again so that I have these colorful stripes on the right. Let's trim at 11, 10, 9.5, 9. I'm always checking to make sure I'm not going through artwork, that I have the measurement correct. Then all the way down to 6.5 and 4. Now rotate, and we'll cut at 10 and 6. The 6-inch piece goes in pocket 5 and 6. Now this piece has 4 round elements. If you happen to have a 1-inch circle punch, you can take out the bottle cap fill. And that one's going to go in pocket 7 and 8. If you happen to have some dies or punches that will fit these other circular shapes, have at it. You can also trim them just with scissors, which is what I ended up doing when I made my pages. The double palm tree goes in pocket 5 and 6. I just did a rough cut on those. The dolphin and palm tree, that's going to be 5 and 6 also. And the peace sign, 1 and 2. The last piece is Island Time, starts now. That's pocket 3 and 4. Picking up the next piece, we'll have Good Times and tan lines on the right. We're going to cut at 10, 7 1/2, and 3 3/4. This goes in pocket 1 and 2. And then this other one with the sunset and the mountains, that's 3 and 4. And then we've got the square in 5 and 6 and the red rectangle in 1 and 2. This next piece, actually before I trim it, I'm just going to take my 1-inch circle punch and pop those out. One of them goes in 1 and 2 and the other in 3 and 4. Then with those punched holes on the right, I'll cut at 10 3/4, 7 1/4, and 3 3/4. Adventure, relaxation. This goes in 5 and 6. The yellow journaling prompt, 1 and 2. The green one in 5 and 6. And I just want to let you know before I file that, you can use the trimmer to just clip the corners of your journaling prompt tag shape if you like. That goes in 5 and 6. We have 2 polka dotted strips. One of them goes in pocket 1 and 2, and the other in 5 and 6. And then we have 2 more strips with the stripes, striped strips. Those go in pocket 3 and 4. All right, with those cut-aparts trimmed, I'll set aside my little punches and my instructions. I'm going to lock my trimmer blade and remove that accordion pocket file. I'll set this aside. And from now on, be sure to keep your accordion pocket file on its back. It's not really designed to stay upright with all that stuff inside and without your trimmer holding it upright. Okay, at this point, I'll take the remaining stack of papers. We didn't trim all of them. We still have, let's see, I think 8 of them that are not trimmed. Take the entire stack. So I have all the sheets here, and I'm going to place it on the left side of my workspace. Then the top sheet of green, I'll slide that to my right, and that gives me the base for the last 2 pages of the set. And we are going to be starting by looking at the bottom of page 4 in our instructions, layouts 7 and 8. The base of these pages is green. Now the reason we're starting with 7 and 8 is as we go along, we will place all of the pieces from pocket 7 and 8 on these 2 base pages, kind of get a feel for how everything will get placed. We don't necessarily have to glue everything down or stick it down with our favorite adhesive. We can wait until we reach layout 1 and then work our way backwards again down from 1 to 8 to finish the pages. And then the final step will be for you to add your pictures to the pages. It's a really great system. It works for hundreds of people. So if this feels really backwards for you, I encourage you to just give it a try. And I promise you'll be pretty thrilled. Okay, so I usually start with the largest pieces or the pieces that tend to be at the bottom layer of the double page spread. So that would be this large piece over here, and then the narrower one with the sun on it over on the left. Also in your stack, you have this really skinny black piece. I just put it right up against this one to kind of delineate the edges here, and then take the black strips about here and here, and that's going to nest with their headlines: Sunshine All Day, Reggae on Repeat. And then we have these smaller rectangles that are going to go above. So that's going to help determine where this sits, because we have these 3 little pieces from the horizontal print, right? I'm adding some smaller photos there. Then I've got this larger black mats. They're going to get nested. Let me set these down a minute. Nested with yellow. Now, when I overlap or angle photo mats like this, I definitely try to avoid what's called a tangent. Okay, so I do see some layouts around there at various places where the angled mats look like this. And what that does is when those two corners touch like that, that creates a tangent. And another tangent is created right here where the tip of the photo mat touches the edge of the page. And another one right here where the tip of that corner touches the page. So what I tend to do when I do overlap and tilt my photo mats is I put one higher than the other and I overlap them slightly. Now, none of the corners are touching edges anywhere. Looks great. Okay, so that's a wonderful way to avoid tangents in your layout design. And maybe you're like, whatever, don't worry about it. It's your own darn page, right? So there, you know, you can look at it one of two ways. Just pick your favorite. I realize now that, the black strip actually goes on this side. And the reason I put it on the right side is because that's where I initially put the black strip. And I realized I crowded myself a little too much. So then I literally went and got another piece of green paper and made a whole brand new page because I didn't want the black strip on that side. So ignore what I said. The strip goes on this side. Now I have plenty of room for my black mats. And then I'll nest them with the yellow to give me the contrast. Then my journaling prompt is going to go here. And then we have this cute little punch and our strips. Let me show you how this works. We have a product I call bookbinding glue, and then I typically put the glue from the larger bottle into a needle-tipped applicator. And then I use that to apply glue to the inside of the bottle cap and then just pop the punched shape in there. And it'll work if you don't have a punch. Just use scissors to get it out and pop it right inside the flattened bottle cap. And I also use the bookbinding glue from the needle tip to attach those skinny little strips as well. And once it's in the bottle cap, you can take, there will be a plastic covering on here. You peel that away, like a little protected layer, and then just take one of the acrylic or epoxy stickers off the sheet and then pop it inside the bottle cap. And you've got one heart, one beautiful day shared with friends. So cute. That's going to go right over here. Just kind of layer it on top of that. And on the right side of the page, I added some yellow ribbon and some of the red ribbon. And basically, to thread the ribbon onto the tag, I used something called a slot punch. So I just come in, punch a slot, and I'll put a link for this if you don't have one of these in the description. And then you can easily thread ribbon through the slot and it looks really nice. Okay, so that's where that comes in. I'll show you on the finished layout how I wrapped it all up. So here we have the right side. Again, no black strip here. It's over on the other side. I threaded the yellow ribbon through the slot and then I added another knot. I think I actually stapled it. Behind this knot is a staple. And then I tied a knot into the red twill ribbon and added that onto the top with probably bookbinding glue. On the facing page, very straightforward. There's my little black strip and here is my prepared bottle cap. Absolutely adorable. Okay, then I'm going to take the base of this page right here. This is page 7. And just the green. I'm going to pick up the green, leave everything kind of in place, slide it over onto page 8. Then I'm going to come back over here, grab the yellow, slide that over on top of page 7, giving me 2 yellow planes as the base. And in my instructions, if I go ahead and look at layouts 5 and 6, yellow is the base, so I can grab my contents of pocket 5 and 6. A lot of stuff in there. Okay, let's take the wide straight piece, put that on the left, and then the surfboard section, I'm going to add that to the right. It looks like I ran my red strip with the dots nested behind the surfboard, so I'll fix that up. Take one of the larger, the taller red mats. There are 3 taller ones. One of them goes here, and then 2 go vertically here. Remember the taller red ones. These should be the same height. And then you can nest this Cutapart right on top of that one. It should be the right size. The shorter red mat is going to kind of slide behind the torn edge. Just a little fake out there. There we go. Now, there is also a small red rectangle. This one. I'm going to tuck that kind of behind this one. And once you have it trimmed out, the double palm tree is going to fit right into that spot very nicely. Okay, I'll show you on the finished page in just a moment as well. You've got 2 red rectangles that are going to frame up very nicely right here. If you think in terms of a 1/4 inch of space between each item, it's going to look really nice. Okay. Then on top of this red mat, we're going to add the black. And then on this one, we'll add a black. So nice. Down over here, you've got the tag. And once again, I do think I added a slot so I could thread some of that red ribbon through, the red twill. Now on the right side, you've got this square. I'm going to tuck that behind that mat. And then once this is punched out, it's going to fit right in there. It's going to look really good. Here I have the last Cutapart adventure, relaxation, everything in between, a red mat for that. You can staple some ribbon up on top of that. And then just using the envelope sort of as a anchoring device, I can place that right on there. You could do it either direction, like if you wanted to have it facing this way so you could slide something else into there, you could do that. You could ink the edges of the envelope with black ink, which is what I did. But here is that finished layout. Now, this round piece, once it was trimmed out with scissors, I added it to the page with a foam adhesive circle so that it would, pop out just a little bit. Miniature stapler here that I put an X to staple the twill to the Cutapart. Wrapped the bottom with plenty of the jute, 1, 2, 3 crossings of jute, and then tied a bow. And finally added the cute little palm tree charm there. Over here, after I punched the slot, I threaded the twill, wrapped the ends around to the back, and then made a second piece with a knot in it and put that on top. Makes it much easier to do that with the fake of the ribbon rather than actually trying to do it with one piece. On this side, it's very straightforward. Again, this is tucked in, but I also kept that area free of adhesive so I could add the photo here. And then this too, I fussy cut with scissors and then added it with foam adhesive to make it pop a little bit. That is layout 5 and 6. So now we're ready to take the yellow page base here and slide it over to the right. That gives us our horizontal strip print. And with the sunshine on the right side, I'll turn backwards in my instructions now to layout 3 and 4. And I'm going to empty the pocket labeled 3 and 4. Okay. Left edge. That's easy. We'll start there. Every little thing is going to be all right. I do love that song. Okay. Let's maybe grab our large green photo mat. Let's put that in the upper right corner and then it nests with one of the black mats. Right below that, take the green strip and frame it in there and then add this little stripe below that. The other green strip is kind of about 1.5 or 2 from the bottom, horizontal there, green with a black mat. I've got 2 red that are the same. Those are going to go here. Then you have another red that's a little longer and skinnier that should fit that journaling prompt. Above that, we've got island time starts now. Grab one of those envelopes. We're going to pop that over here. We have this Cutapart here. Now, tons of green pieces are left over. The largest one is going to fit inside that envelope, okay? Then you have the smallest ones are going to go to the left side of that mat, And then the 2 medium-sized ones are gonna fit perfectly right in there. I measured that all so it'd work out perfectly. Finally, you have your last, or your second bottle cap with your sentiment, and you'll put the, just like I showed you before, with the glue if you want in the bottom, or adhesive just to hold it in there, and then your epoxy sticker on top. To look at the finished page details. Once again, this cut apart, I wrapped it in the jute and added the cute little charm. Here I added the slit and then wrapped the ribbon around to the side, attached it to the back of the page. On the facing page, I just added a little shadow of ink with a sponge applicator to delineate the envelope, totally an option. And I did round the corners with a corner punch just to kind of soften this, the rounded corners here and here as well. And then here's my finished bottle cap. Other than that, very straightforward and simple. Just use your favorite adhesive. I'm going to pick up the base of that red layout number 3 and slide it over. And then finally bring one piece of that black on over and empty, I cannot believe it, pocket 1 and 2. Grab everything out of there. And this piece is going to go across the bottom. The yellow strip above it is ribbon. So if you're looking for a yellow strip of paper, you will not find it. Then I'll grab one large red photo mat here, and the other one will be here, and each will be topped with that nice sunny yellow. On my camera, that yellow was looking a lot brighter than it really is, so just keep that in mind, that our cameras can do funny things. Okay, here I have a red strip with the dotty above it, and then you should have a bunch of black squares. Those are going to go kind of in a row across the top. So 3 nice pictures. I can just imagine the Negril sunset. Like full sun, halfway into the water, all the way into the water. That'd be really sweet. What else can I place? I'm going to put vacation vibes down here. I have a lot of like little pieces and red mats all over the place. What is going on? The journaling prompt, that's going to get a mat. Oh, I found a match for that. It's going to be here. I should have 2 narrow, longer red pieces. Ah, there we go. I should have a small red mat that gets good times and tan lines, and all of that kind of frames up very nicely over on that side. This to me is one of the coolest features that Jacqueline, my designer, added. Once this is cut with scissors, it actually is an exact scale model of your piece charm. So layer it on top. I added some ribbon to that on the top and mounted it right over here once it had been fussy cut. The final envelope, again, you can ink it. This will fit on top, and then if you just add a little piece of ribbon to that, you can have that kind of peeking out to the side. That's going to go there. Our last bottle cap with the One Love and your final epoxy sticker can go there. In fact, I'm going to add the other sticker to this page. That's why I don't glue everything down. It gives me a lot of options, right? Okay, so here, page 2, check out the detail. I trimmed out the little circle, topped it with my charm, threaded it with the twill, and then I tied some of the jute onto the ribbon to just kind of add a little something something. Here's the ribbon stretched across the page, wrapped around to the back, and then the slot punched after I trimmed the upper corners, nested this. So make sure that you nest onto the red first. If you're using the slot punch, you have to wait until after it's nested or you won't be able to get the slot aligned, okay? So nest first, then slot, then thread your ribbon. Everything else is very straightforward there. And finally, your last page. Now that we finally have our rhythm in the waves, I used a grid ruler to keep everything level and evenly spaced on the black mats up here. And there's my little bottle cap nested. This, I did end up sticking it in there because it kept falling out, and I crisscrossed some staples here to add the folded ribbon to this piece. Very sweet. Love this so much. Now that all of your little pieces are in place and distributed across all 8 base layout pages, the final 2 steps would be to stick everything down and then go back and add your photos. Once again, if this is the first time trying this method, I know it sounds really backwards, but trust me, it really works. You can grab your pictures and just start adding them to the spots on the pages. If you check out the Club Scrap blog, for example, if you go to clubscrap.com, across the top you'll see blog. And after this kit is released, my colleague Karen, she always posts her finished pages with pictures, just so you can see how it works. She's actually completely caught up with all of her scrapbooking because she uses this method. It's really quite incredible. And hundreds of people are doing it this way and having extreme success. So again, if you're new to this way of doing it, I know it feels a little weird, but I just want to encourage you to give it a try. We do have a private Club Scrap Facebook chat group. So if you want to finish your pages and share your results with us, we'd love to cheer you on. And finally, and most importantly, thank you so much for grabbing this One Love page kit and for your support for the Jamaican people during this really difficult and challenging time. I know that they'll be recovering from this massive hurricane for many years to come, and I'm just so grateful for the role that we can play in easing their suffering. So thank you again so much for joining me. If you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, be sure you hit the subscribe button here. It's totally free, but it really does help my channel. And if you're not subscribed to Club Scrap with a page membership, remember that members always save, even though anyone can shop. All right, I look forward to seeing you again in another Club Scrap workshop soon. Thanks for joining me.